Hi, thanks for joining us at One Stop Shop, Mike Mohel. My name is Shanielle Anderson. I'm a fully licensed insurance agent in the good state of Georgia. I am fully licensed throughout the United States and Canada in several states. And today we're going to talk about automobile insurance. So first things first, I'd like to touch on the liability limits and the importance of liability limits, okay? So for example, I'm going to use the state minimum limits, which are 25, 50, 25. Okay, so I want to explain to you how these numbers work for you and what they do. So the first number, 25,000, it is for any one person that may be injured by you. The second number, 50,000, is for any group of people, no matter how large or how small, that may be injured by you. The last number, 25,000, is for any property damage that may be caused by you in an accident and that you're found at fault at. So those numbers are, those liability limits basically say if you are found at fault, then the insurance company will pay these liability limits on your behalf. Once the insurance company pays these liability limits on your behalf, then the insurance company is off the hook, and whoever that was harmed by you can actually come after you personally at this point. So I'll give you an example. So we talked about liability limits, those numbers 25, 50, 25. Let's say you're driving down the street on 285 and debris falls off of an 18-wheeler truck. You swerve to avoid this debris that's falling off the truck, but in doing so, you hit the car next to you, and that car, Dr. Brown was driving. He is a surgeon at Grady Hospital. And when you hit him, he broke his wrist and he was not able to perform surgery for the next year. Dr. Brown's salary or income for his household is $500,000 a year. You only have liability limits of state minimum, which are 25, 50, 25. What's gonna happen is the insurance company is gonna pay Dr. Brown $25,000. After that, they will be off the hook, and Dr. Brown can actually come after you personally. If you own a home, if you own vehicles, he can place a lien against your home, a lien against your vehicles, meaning that if you ever try to sell the home or the vehicles, then Dr. Brown will get his money first, initially, before you receive anything. If you don't have anything, let's say you don't have a home, you don't have autos, or let's say Dr. Brown places those liens against your home and autos and you never sell for years, then Dr. Brown has the ability to go back to the courts and ask the judge to place a judgment to garnish. This garnishment could be up to 25% of any earned income in Georgia, and that's including disability income, that's including retirement income. Some people are under the impression that if they're receiving disability or retirement, that their wages cannot be garnished. But in the event of an automobile lawsuit where somebody sues you as a personal judgment, they can garnish any income that is received. Okay, so liability limits are important to protect you, your assets, and your family from being sued or even garnished. That's why it's important to have liability limits that can protect you. So, again, state minimum limits are 25, 50, 25. You can move those limits all the way up to $1 million, okay? A good limit to have, I would like to say, just to be in the middle. If you don't own a lot, but you wanna make sure that you're protected, your income is protected and your family is protected, good liability limits start at around 100, 300,000. And those are decent because they're 2 steps away from the state minimum, but they're not too high. So 100, 300 is decent liability limits. Okay, so next thing I'd like to talk about is deductibles, how the deductibles work. A lot of people are unaware how the deductible works. Some people ride around with damage on their car for years, but they're paying full coverage. It's unnecessary. If you're paying for this coverage, you can exercise it, you can use it. So let me tell you how it works in your favor. So first, the comprehensive. Comprehensive coverage means any weather-related damage or any inanimate object that hits you, okay? Even animals, like, okay, so when you call your insurance agent, if you hit an animal, you never want to say, I hit the animal, if you want it to be a comprehensive claim. If you say, I hit the animal, then it's going to be a collision claim, which would be an at-fault claim. That means later on, when your insurance renews, you're going to receive an at-fault accident surcharge, increasing your insurance rates for the next 3 to 5 years, depending on the company. So if you have a comp claim and a deer came into the road, you did not hit the deer, but the deer hit you. If you can be sure that the deer actually ran into your vehicle, then it would be covered under a comprehensive claim, which is considered not at fault. So you won't receive an at-fault accident surcharge, increasing your insurance. So it's very important to know what your comprehensive coverage covers. It also covers fire. If you have your car parked in your garage and your house caught fire, your automobile will be covered under comprehensive and it'd be not at fault claim. Now, it would still be applicable to the deductible. The deductible is the first amount of insurance that you're due out of pocket that you have to pay. So what that means is if you have a vehicle, your car is worth $5,000 and it burns up in your garage, and you have a $500 comprehensive deductible, then the insurance company will give you a check for $4,500. They're going to minus the $500 deductible for the comprehensive. Now, on the other hand, some companies, let's say a deer came into the road and you said, I came to a complete stop and the deer hit me. Other companies may say, we want you to send us the $500 so we can pay for your vehicle, or they may say you have to pay the $500 directly to the mechanic shop and we're going to pay our half directly to the mechanic shop as well. So that can happen. Well, whereas some companies, which you always have this option and the companies don't want you to know this, you do have the option to take it to your own mechanic shop. The insurance company or the insurance agent will always ask you, take it to one of our preferred dealers. But that is your option. You don't have to. They will tell you, you need to take it to our preferred dealer, but that you don't have to. It's not a must. And they don't tell people that you have the option. If your uncle is a mechanic, you can take it to your uncle's mechanic shop. You can take it to whoever's mechanic shop that you want to take it to. It's just because we suggest you take it to our approved dealers doesn't mean you don't have a choice. But it may seem like that, and sometimes the way we word it, it may seem that you don't have a choice, but you have to take it to this dealership. No, you can take it wherever you feel comfortable. The adjuster may come out to review the work, and that's just that. Like I said, again, you do have the option to take your car to get it serviced or repaired where you like to, not where the insurance company says you have to. You can take it wherever you like to. And that's with all insurance companies. They will try to pressure you into using their people, but you can go anywhere. So that's comprehensive. With collision, the same thing. You can take it to any mechanic, but with collision, it works a little bit different. Collision is going to be anything that you hit. Okay, so even if you don't get a ticket, some people say, well, I didn't get a ticket. I hit a rock that was in the street. The key word was I hit. Anytime you hit something and you let your insurance company know and they have to repair your vehicle, it's going to be repaired under collision. So if you hit something, then it's going to be an at-fault accident regardless of if you get a ticket or not, regardless of if the accident was with you by yourself and maybe just an inanimate object. If you hit that object, then you're going to be considered at fault. And therefore, you're going to have an accident surcharge, and you're also going to be responsible for that first amount of insurance, which is the deductible. Okay, so comprehensive and collision both carry a deductible. Comprehensive is typically weather-related, not at fault, something that hit your vehicle that was an object or an animal, but it hit you. Collision is any time that you hit anything, whether it's an animal, inanimate object, or another vehicle. That's considered collision. So, and again, they have deductibles. It's important that you choose a deductible that's right for you, because if you have an older vehicle and you choose a high deductible, then 9 times out of 10, the insurance company is going to want to total your vehicle out as soon as possible. So if you have a 2001 Toyota Camry and you have a $1,000 deductible and you go out and you have a tree fall onto that Camry and it's only a dent and you can get this dent fixed for $800, the insurance company is going to look at the value of that vehicle and they're going to say, well, this vehicle is only valued at $1,200, we're not gonna want to fix this vehicle because it's not worth it. We would rather total it out. So they will probably offer you a check for $1,000 and say, we need to take this to our salvage yard. And a lot of times it becomes a problem because your car is still running. The car is fine. You don't want to salvage your car. You don't want to give up your car because there's just one small dent and you have full coverage. Now the insurance company does not want to fix the dent. They want to total your vehicle. So it's important to know the value of your vehicle, because at that point, I suggest that a lot of my customers, instead of wasting money in full coverage, because you may end up paying $1,000 a year for full coverage and you keep their car for 2 years without having an accident, and the third year have an accident and they offer you $800 to total it out. So now you spent more than in insurance than the car was worth. So you have to know the value of your vehicle, and then you need to budget to see, is this going to be worth the value versus the insurance cost? Because you can, if you never have an accident, you can put all of the money that you're paying in insurance in a savings account, and should something happen, you don't have to total your car. You can actually get it fixed. So we went over comp, collision, and we went over the liability limits. Next thing I like to touch on is going to be the medical payments. Medical payments, there's a large misconception that medical payments will cover me, my kids, and everybody in my vehicle, my friends. That's not true. Medical payments will cover the named insured if the named insured hurts themselves in their vehicle. And this is going to include accidents, but it also includes, like, if I accidentally slam my hand in the door, or if I accidentally slam my hand in the trunk because I opened the trunk. I could actually go to the hospital and exercise my medical payments, and there was no physical accident with the vehicle, only with my body. Yes, I can exercise my medical payments. But if my friend Jill is riding in my passenger seat and we get out and I actually slam her hand in the door, then no, she cannot use my medical payments to cover her medical costs. She would then have to file a claim against me through my insurance company, and her medical payments or her medical bills would be paid out underneath my liability limits, and it would be considered an at-fault bodily injury accident. Even though I didn't physically have an accident with the vehicle, if I slam her hands in the door and she decides she wants to file a claim against me, then it would be considered an at-fault bodily injury claim. I know. So, medical payments they're good, but they're not as important as some of the other coverages that automobile insurance offers. Medical payments are good to have, and some people want to increase those limits in case they have to be hospitalized or something like that, and they absolutely can use their medical payments, whether it was their fault or the other party's fault. They can still use their medical payments. Now, if they use their medical payments and it's the other party's fault, they can always do something called subrogation. Subrogation is where the other party is at fault, but you need to get this damage taken care of as soon as possible. So what subrogation is say you had an accident, but the accident was the other party's fault, but you want to get your medical bills paid off. You need to get back to work, so you want to hurry up and get your car fixed. So you go ahead and have your insurance company pay to get your car fixed. They pay your medical bills off, and then guess what? They go after the other person's insurance company to recoup the costs and make sure that they keep this as a not at fault accident on your record. So a lot of times you can use subrogation, or you can use your medical bills payments and you can subrogate them later through the person who was at fault. So that's medical payments. Let's talk about the rental car coverage. Rental car coverage is awesome. A big misconception that people have about rental car coverage is that I'm going to be able to have the insurance company pay for my rental car. So they call me and they say, I got rental car coverage, right? I want to go get a rental car. No, the rental car coverage on your automobile insurance policy will cover you should you have an accident or a claim. If you have to file a claim and your vehicle has to be in a repair shop, that is when your rental car coverage will activate. Okay, so if you don't have the rental car coverage added to your insurance policy, of course, no, the insurance company cannot pay for your rental car unless there's one option that they can. And that option is if your car is stolen and you have comprehensive, the insurance company will automatically pay for a rental car should your vehicle be stolen and you have comprehensive. Comprehensive will automatically provide a rental car in the case that your vehicle is stolen. Okay, so if there's theft, in the case of theft, comprehensive will automatically provide rental car coverage. Now, if it's theft and you don't have the comprehensive coverage, then no, it will not provide the coverage. If it's theft and you don't have the comprehensive coverage, a lot of companies, and you do have collision, then some companies have the option to pay it out under the collision. Collision typically can be paid out for any reason. The only bad thing about that is it will always be at fault. If you get a claim or damage paid out under collision, whether you hit somebody or not, it's still at fault. Collision is considered at fault coverage. Okay, so with rental car coverage, it will only cover you should you have to file a claim, whether it be comp or collision. Okay. Also, with rental car coverage, the limits are important because most of the time the minimum limits start at $30 per day up to $900 max. If you look at that and you get a compact car, let's say from Enterprise, $30 a day will keep you in that car for about 30 days. If you do 3 times 3, that's 900, and that's the limit. If you decide, if you drive a Mercedes-Benz, you may want to make sure that you have higher limits so that you can get in a car that was at least similar or of luxury to the car that you drive. Because if you have a Mercedes-Benz and you have $30 per day, $900 max, then you maybe only get that Prius or this very small compact car, and you may have a problem with that. It may not fit your lifestyle, it may not fit your children or whoever. So you do want to make sure that you have liability limits. That you have the limits for your rental car that kind of can get you something similar to what you need or what you have now. So the rental car coverage, one thing I also like to touch on that, it has nothing to do with rental car coverage, but it does have to do with full coverage. If you want to go and you pay for your own rental car and you're at the rental car company and you decide, I don't want to pay for their high rental car insurance, you can use your own insurance. The only bad thing about that is should you have an accident in their vehicle, then you would be responsible to pay your deductible and we would get their vehicle fixed. And if it's a collision, like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a collision. And in that case, there's going to be an at-fault accident to follow you around for the next 3 to 5 years, which is going to result in an increased premium on auto insurance, which in Georgia, the state is doing it without having any at-fault accidents. So you don't want to add any other thing to your record. So a lot of times, if you're going out of town or if you're going to keep the rental car for an extended period, I would suggest that you get the rental car insurance. That way you're not attaching or linking anything to your name should you have to file a claim for the rental car. Okay, so also I like to touch on the last automobile coverage, which I think is very important, is emergency road service. Emergency road service is a wonderful coverage. It doesn't matter if your car is old or new. Even new cars can have a flat tire. You could run out of gas. You never know what happens. So emergency road service with most companies nowadays, when you add it to your policy, you pay a monthly fee. If they come out to the roadside to actually help you out, then there's no additional cost. Usually they help you with things like if you run out of gas, they'll bring you gas, oil. They don't pay for the cost of the item, but they will bring it to you. And we pay for up to 1 hour of labor at the place of breakdown. I like Emergency Road Service Premier or Preferred or Plus. A lot of companies offer a top tier emergency road service, and what that usually does, it'll tow you up to 100 miles wherever you want to go, not just to the nearest shop. Also, they change your tire, put air in your tire, give you a jump if you need it. Emergency road service is very important, especially if you're not just a handy person, you can get out and change your own tire. Another thing with Emergency Road Service Premier is if you're taking a trip, they have something called trip interruption. So if you're more than 100 miles away from home and you're out on vacation and you have your vehicle and there's an emergency road service claim that arises, Emergency Road Service Preferred most of the time will provide you with travel interruption costs. That's up to $500 cash for room, board, food, transportation. They will also pay for rental car reimbursement a lot of the time. And with this coverage, it's just awesome to have, because if you have something happen far away from home, and you're on your way back home and you have to stop to get this rental car because your car, or you have to stop to get a hotel while your car goes into the shop, then the Emergency Road Service Plus is willing to cover you for all of that. So automobile insurance, what we reviewed today, we reviewed liability limits, we reviewed deductibles for comp and collision, we reviewed rental car coverage, medical payments, and emergency road service. All of those coverages actually give you a full coverage automobile insurance policy. When you say full coverage for automobile insurance, it's a term that is loose because you can have full coverage by just having comprehensive only, or you can have full coverage by having collision and liability only, and you don't necessarily have to have the rental car, the medical payments, or even the uninsured motorist. And that is one thing that I didn't talk about. Let me touch on that and then I'm gonna let everyone go. The uninsured motorist is gonna be equal to the same as your liability limits. They usually have the same limits. They're gonna be the numbers, 25, 50, 25. With the uninsured motorist, there's two types. There's uninsured motorists and then there's underinsured motorists. Uninsured motorists is just if someone hits you and they don't have coverage, they say, I'm so sorry, I let my insurance lapse. Or if somebody hits you and they decide they're just gonna run away and you don't know what happened, they just ran away. So in those instances, uninsured motorists will automatically pay up to $25,000 for any one person's bodily injury, up to $50,000 for any group. If you're in a group, if you're in a, let's say you guys are in a van and 10 people are there. If you have state minimum, the insurance company will only pay $50,000. So if there's 50 people, you guys can only get $1,000 a piece for bodily injury. And after that, there's nobody else to sue because it's an uninsured motorist claim. So, and then with the property damage, uninsured motorists will pay up to $25,000 at state minimum limits. So it's important to actually have good uninsured motorist limits if you feel like you have more to protect, or if you feel like you're going to be riding in a group with your family all the time, you may want to make sure that those limits are going to protect and cover you all should something arise. Another great thing about uninsured motorists is if you have more than one vehicle in the state of Georgia, if you have more than one vehicle on your automobile insurance, you can stack those limits. So let's say you just have state minimum uninsured motorist limits at 25, 50, 25, but you have 3 vehicles in the house and you and your 3 kids were driving in your vehicle and uninsured motorist hit and ran. And then each one of your bills were $25,000 a piece, but you only have $50,000 for that second number. So that means after the insurance company pays $50,000 under your uninsured motorist, they're off the hook, right? Right, but not in the instance where you have more than one vehicle and it's uninsured motorists. Then they can stack those limits. They can say, we'll take the $50,000 off your vehicle and we'll take additional $25,000 off the next vehicle. So in essence, if you have 3 vehicles in the house at state minimum uninsured motorists, for any one person, they can pay up to $75,000. And for any group, they can pay up to $150,000 because those state minimum limits can stack on top of each other like building blocks and add together. Now, underinsured motorists is even better coverage because underinsured motorist says that if you hit me, let's say you hit Dr. Brown, right? And Dr. Brown broke his hand and you had state minimum limits, so they paid him $25,000. Underinsured motorist tells Dr. Brown if he has underinsured motorist because you were underinsured for the amount of money he wanted, now he can go to his uninsured motorist and get additional money from those limits. So if he has $100,000 for underinsured motorists and he awarded $250,000 from you, but you only paid $25,000, his insurance company will give him the full $100,000. If he was only awarded $50,000 and your limit capped off after $25,000, then his insurance company will give him the additional $25,000 from his underinsured limits. It is a little bit more of an expensive coverage, but it gives you more coverage because if that person who hits you is underinsured for what you need, then you can always use your underinsured motorist coverage to supplement the additional money that you need. So, a recap, we went over liability limits, we went over deductibles for comp and collision, we went over medical payments, we went over rental car coverage, emergency road service, and last but not least was uninsured motorists. Thank you all for listening. I will be coming back to talk more about more insurance. If you have any questions, please email us at onestopshop368@gmail.com. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like and share. We love you and hope to see you again. Have a great day.